Hello everyone and welcome to the Franchise Show. This is the show, and I'm going to do it where we get under the hat of all things franchising. And it's a live show. Well, it's live if it's the 2nd of June at 5:15 GMT or 12:15 EST. And because it's live, we love you to get involved. So pop in a question, say hello, and get involved in the show. So what do we do? Each week on the Franchise Show, we take a new topic, we take a lovely guest. No exception this week. We have a fantastic guest. But before I introduce him to you, let's tell you what the topic is. So today we are talking about franchise marketing success stories, which is a lovely thing to talk about and really important for all of our franchise businesses. In fact, important for any business. So before we get into that conversation, I would love to introduce my wonderful guest to you all. Most of you will know him, but it's Ajmal Mushtaq from Boss Pizza, the boss himself. Ajmal, welcome to the Franchise Show.
Hi, Harvey. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. So before we get into things too much today, as I say, most people are going to know you. If you've missed Ajmal on any social media platform, you must have your eyes shut or your head under a pillow. But for the sake of those people, perhaps give yourself a little introduction and your fantastic pizza company as well.
Yeah, my name's Ajmal Mushtaq. I'm the CEO of Boss Pizza. Started Boss Pizza about 3 years ago and then turned it into a franchising business. And now we're just slowly rolling out across the UK. We've got a number of branches in the pipeline. We've got almost 50 people, 50 more shops signed up, ready to go. So we're small at the moment, but the key thing is we're heading in the right direction and we're taking it one step at a time.
Amazing. Has it only been 3 years? It feels like longer than that.
It's been about just over 3 years. I've only been working in this full time for 2 years. Prior to that, I had a previous business that I sold. So I've only really been on this full time for 2 years.
Wow. And have you always been in the sort of the pizza or the hospitality industry, or is this something new for you?
Most of my life, I've been in the food business, the home delivery business, takeaway business, apart from a 10-year period when I was working as a management consultant for Accenture in London.
Oh, fantastic. And how has the journey been so far with the world of pizzas and hospitality?
Hospitality business was very good for me. I ran the biggest takeaway kitchen in Britain. That was hugely successful. And then I started Boss Pizza, successful. And then we turned it into a franchise business. And it's been an interesting journey. The key thing is you take your reputation, your brand, and you trust that into someone else's hands. And they don't always get it right. And we've been burnt a couple of times. So it's an interesting journey. And any journey is full of ups and downs. And the Boss Pizza journey is no different.
Absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? And look, you know, we're going to talk about marketing and how that's going to come into things today. But that's what you're doing when you franchise your business. You're putting it into somebody else's hands. And it's really, you know, you're at the beginning of what's going to be an extremely probably fast growth rate as the months and years roll by. And it's tempting, isn't it, to choose franchisees because they just want to get in and run the business, but you've got to choose wisely at the beginning. You know, people who want to work with you, but also want to do things in the right way.
Easier said than done. Every franchise business in the world goes through the same pain points. In the early days, there's no cash flow. So people want to buy a franchise and the default answer is yes. You need the money to grow the business and to get the business up, you know, flying. And we were no different. So we did take on a couple of franchisees that in hindsight were it was a very bad decision, but we took them on. And now we've dealt with the consequences of that. But I think every business is the same. You just go through the learning points in the early days and you learn from your mistakes.
You do. And look, I always say to people that that's what you're buying into as a franchisee. You're buying two things, in my view. You're buying time, because anybody with enough time and enough money can start their own brand. right? If they put enough effort, time, money into it, they can do it, right? But you're buying that. Someone else has already done that. And you're also buying other people's mistakes, right? You've had to make some painful mistakes. And as a franchisee, you're buying the fact that you've already done that, already learned from it, already changed something up to do something different. And that's part of what you're buying into, isn't it?
Exactly. One of the most difficult things in the franchising journey has been this. If someone says they've got X amount of money in the bank, in Britain, we just take that as face value. We believe them. But what we do now is if someone says, yeah, they've got £200,000 worth of funds, the default position for us is show us the evidence, show proof of funds. But out there in the real world, in Britain, no one ever walks up to anyone and says, how much money have you got? Show me the evidence. That just doesn't really happen in the real world. So for us to come from running our own businesses to come into an environment where we've got to say, Harvey, how much money have you got in your bank account? And you say, I'm just making up a number, £100,000. I'll say, right, show me the evidence. That is an uncomfortable conversation. And we didn't have the ability to have that conversation in the early days because it just felt so unpolite. It felt so wrong. But now, if anyone says they've got £200,000 to invest, first question is, can you show me proof of funds? So that's just one of the many learnings that we've had on this journey.
Well, look, fantastic introduction. Thanks so much for letting us know kind of sort of how this has come about and where you're at and where you're going. But look, let's start to look at marketing. This is what we're going to be talking about today, and what marketing means to you. Did you set out with a grand marketing plan, or has marketing been an organic journey for you?
Marketing for me is just common bloody sense. If you're doing a good job, get out there and tell the world you're doing a great job. It is as simple as that. And put your own ego to the side, and that will stand you in really good stead. So, for example, take every single opportunity to promote what you're doing. Here I am. It's 5:20 on the franchise show. I'm with Harvey Tuck. 15 minutes ago, before we started, we put out on TikTok, we put out on LinkedIn, and the content we are filming behind the scenes. So we were filming behind the scenes. We were making content about making content and putting that out. We're doubling the exposure. And this is what you need to do, or anyone listening to this, you need to take every single opportunity to put content out there, and don't you be the judge. Put it out there and let the audience be the judge. Because I guarantee you one thing, what you think is good content and what the audience thinks is good content, two totally separate things.
Absolutely. I think, you know what? I think that is part of what I like about doing this way. Rather than it being a podcast where I've sent you a series of pre-planned questions, right? I had nothing written down. We hadn't discussed any questions that we were going to talk about. It's an organic conversation, and it's a conversation that's judged and led by an audience. Right? And as they start to listen to you talking and they're thinking about marketing in their own businesses or their own experiences, then they start to ask questions, and that's how it stays relevant. Right?
Exactly.
And you're saying exactly the same thing, that marketing, you put it out there and people tell you whether it's good or whether it's not good.
Exactly.
Which I think is really, really powerful stuff. And we've got a few people here already. Let's welcome a few people to the show. We've got the lovely Penny Hopkinson. Penny has been a supporter of the show, and I've been a supporter of Penny for many years now, I think. But Penny's put, hello, Harvey and franchise friends. Looking forward to enjoying a slice of marketing success. That's good. It's good. She's got pizza into that. I like that. Good, nice. Penny. Excellent. And Penny is, of course, the author of this lovely book, which I always promote. And sometimes I get that the wrong way around, but I got that the right way around today. So please reach out to Penny if you want any help on your ops manuals. We've also got the lovely Simon Wise with us. Simon is a recruiter here in the UK. So if you are looking for some franchise talent, then please reach out to my lovely friend Simon. Who else have we got? We've got Charles Caldwell with us. I'm always very honored, impressed, and very grateful for Charles joining us from Hong Kong, because it is about 1 a.m. where Charles is, and he's a busy man, and he always takes some time to say hello and join the show. So very, very grateful to you, Charles. He works at a university there in Hong Kong. So thanks very much for being with us. Look, let's get straight into this. Simon's put up a good question, so let's see what Simon's had to say on this. And Simon's put, should your content be quick and dirty or polished? It's a great question, and you sort of alluded to it, Ajmal, just now, that just sort of get stuff out there and see what happens rather than making everything perfect. Is that how you feel, or is it a bit different?
Okay, so should your content be quick and dirty, or should it be polished? Both of them work. Sometimes just taking a phone, filming yourself, a very quick raw video with minimal editing can get you hundreds of thousands of views. Sometimes we've put out really polished videos and we think they're great and they flop. So the answer is, let the audience decide. So instead of you plotting and planning, spending lots of money, time, energy on the format, just make a video, put it out, make another video, put it out, and very quickly your audience will resonate with your type of video, and they'll tell you through the views if that format is working or not. And then the key thing is, once you've found the format that resonates with your audience, just rinse and repeat. Just do that much more often.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting as well. Once you've found something that does work, repeat it. I suppose then the other thing that you have to think about, we'll get into more of the details around marketing, but the other thing you have to think about is when you do that, you find something works, it repeats, especially on social media, right?
Yeah.
That social media will become tired of a format and you have to change it up and you have to mix different things in. Do you have that same experience, or do you get more longevity out of that sort of rinse and repeat process?
So the rinse and repeat is about the way that you deliver the message. One of the things, we've had nearly 500 million views, over 500 million views, that approximately. And one of the things I like to do is I like to make sure that my videos all look a little bit different. So the set here is a little bit different. Another time I could be speaking from my desk. Another time I could be outside. So it's quite important just to change your location and the backdrop. It just keeps things a little bit interesting for the audience. They're not seeing the same face, the same type of message, the same background all the time. The more you mix it up, the better. That's
really interesting. I mean, I've got to stop you there. I mean, 500 million views, yeah. 500 million people have seen your content. That's a, you said that quite lightly, but that's an incredible achievement.
I'm truly humbled and honored that every single person that's watched any one of my videos. Yeah, I mean, I could never have imagined this many views, but you know what? We put out sometimes 2-3 videos a day. We usually get about between 300,000 and 500,000 views a week. That's the approximate views that we get every week.
And yeah, I mean, obviously everyone knows that you've got this fantastic pizza brand, and is all of that content to do with Boss Pizza, or is this you? And is it sort of a mixture of the two things?
The number one principle in sales for us is very simple. Do not try to sell what you're actually selling. The way we win here at Boss Pizza is we are just pumping out loads of valuable content. We're not advertising. We're not saying come to Boss Pizza. We're not trying to slip in some messages. We're not trying to sell a book, sell a course. All we're doing, pumping out really good business content full stop.
Mm.
Then people who resonate with the message, resonate with us, they're then thinking, oh yeah, you know what, we'd quite like to do business with these guys. Let's put in a franchise inquiry and let's try and work with these guys because we like what they're all about. I guarantee the viewers one thing: if you put out a message and then at the very end saying, now follow me for more, or I've got a book to sell, I've got a course to sell, buy this product, buy that product, you are going to kill your views.
That's really interesting. And what platforms have you found success with? I mean, we're streaming here to LinkedIn primarily, but I know you do a lot of short form videos, so I assume that's platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and so forth.
Yeah, my main platform is TikTok, then it's Reels and Instagram, Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels. And what I found, TikTok was hot, and then in the last year, the views on Reels are almost identical to the TikTok views as well. So we now put out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in equal measure.
It's tricky, isn't it? And it's tricky to choose whether you choose or whether you do all of them. But then it's about putting that attention. Do you use like an automation software to help you get that content out to those different ones, or do you put that effort into each platform?
No, it's not tricky, Harvey. Putting out content is not tricky. You've got a video, you filmed it. It takes no time to share it on TikTok. It takes no time to put it on Instagram. It takes no time to put it on Facebook Reels. You might talk about 30, 40 seconds to upload it. That's it. It's not tricky. Don't overthink it. Take a piece of content and just put it in as many places as possible, as quickly as possible.
I mean, that's excellent advice. And look, I think everyone is guilty of overthinking things.
Exactly.
I think overcomplicating things.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying, what I think is true, that these things can be a lot simpler and just put it out there. Look, I think back to when I started doing this. I overthought it for about 3 or 4 months. I was doing all these spider diagrams as to who might be the audience and how could I get somebody to come on and why would they, and all of these different things. And in the end, one day I just did it. I just started it, and there wasn't hardly anybody there, and you know, I made loads of mistakes. But look, you know, I think you've just got to do it, haven't you?
Anyone wanting to make content, that's a very good point. Anyone wanting to make content, understand this. You have to climb cringe mountain. Some of my earliest videos, I look back and think, oh my God, how embarrassing. But you've got to go through that pain. That pain is your learning. That's where you will find your niche, your style. So don't worry if you're coming across as cringy or it's embarrassing. Every single content creator has had to go through that journey, and you are no exception. Embrace the cringe.
As I say, I start with nothing written down, but I've certainly written down climb the cringe mountain. I love that expression. That's brilliant. We've got a few more people here live. Let's have a look at who we've got and welcome a few more people to the show. We've got the lovely Kelly Steinecker from Arizona. And Kelly is a marketeer herself over there in America. So, and I've done a few live shows with Kelly. Fantastic to have you with us. She's put good morning from Scottsdale, Arizona. Yo, I've got to practice my accent. Yo. Excellent to have you with us, Kelly. And look, Kelly, it would be great to hear your thoughts about marketing and, you know, what success stories you've had over the years as well. So please pop in a comment. We've got the lovely Jay Heathcote with us. Jay, great to have you with us. He's put, hello, everyone, trying to listen in, signal strength dependent. Well, it's great to have you with us, and looking forward to hearing your thoughts on marketing in QSRs, because I know you're a big expert in that field. So please pop in a question. We've got a LinkedIn user here from Greater Boston. Let us know who you are. Recruiter here with EHS. Great to have you with us. And we've got another great question from Simon. Simon's put, how important are keywords alongside the content? Do you use franchise keywords for recruitment or more consumer focused? This is a really good question when you're putting things out on the platform and it's going to such a wide audience. What keywords, or how do you direct that message?
So I only put out 2 hashtags. So we'll come on to keywords in a minute, but I only put out 2 hashtags. One is hashtag business, because I'm a business geek. That's all I talk about. The second hashtag is hashtag Ajmal Mushtaq, my name. Now, in terms of keywords, I don't think they are as important as they used to be. The reason being the algorithm is picking up the words within the videos themselves.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we've discussed on this show about search engine optimization and all sorts of different things that help you be seen and heard when you're trying to do things. And like you say, I think keywords maybe they haven't seen their day, but you know, they're less important now.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, algorithms have become more sophisticated, and rather than picking up on just a word, they're picking up on a series of content, what that content means to an audience and how an audience is reacting to that content.
Exactly. So for our videos that we put out, our description is very short. It's maybe 1 or 2 lines, 2 hashtags. That is it. We don't pay too much attention to the keywords. That said, we've still managed to generate over 500 million views. So we're doing okay.
That's amazing. That's amazing. One thing I was going to ask you, I mean, we're talking a lot here about online content as part of that marketing. And of course, in the world we live in, it's incredibly important to get a message out there. Everyone is mostly surgically attached to a phone or an Apple Watch or whatever, you know. But where do you see the place for more traditional marketing? You know, do you see that has a place? You know, things like A-boards outside your posters and billboards, or, you know, traditional television advertising. How do you think that fits into marketing at QSR?
Traditional marketing is still very, very important. I would argue traditional marketing is probably more effective. And the reason for that is we are drowned in digital advertising and bombarded with digital content day in, day out. And when you get a physical leaflet through your door, for example, like you get a menu through your door, that's quite unusual. What we find is we've got a mixture of digital and marketing. So billboards still work, branded cars still work, leaflet distribution still works. There's a reason you get a Boss Pizza leaflet through your door every 6 weeks, because it works. Handing out flyers works, A-frame works. We've got like 30 different marketing channels that we use, and not all of them are digital. And it's important for you as a business owner to have a mixture of activities, because different people respond to different marketing channels.
When you're like opening a new store or something like that, do you use, I mean, 30 different channels? Do you use kind of everything, see what sort of works? Do you kind of look at the area, the demographics, and think, okay, well, this one needs this sort of selection of marketing?
Yeah. We recommend 30 different channels. Try all 30. And then out of the 30, there'll be 5 or 6 that are really effective. And then you just repeat those ones. And not every area has got the same response for every type of marketing. So for example, an A-frame outside your shop on a busy main road is going to be more effective than an A-frame in a shop in a side street where the foot flow is much less. So try as many different ones, and then you'll find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels that are very effective, and then just hone in on those and repeat those.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you've mentioned billboards, and look, I can't do this episode without talking to you about a certain episode of marketing genius that happened with a particular billboard, which was where I think it was that one of your competitors had put up a billboard and you parked a van in front of it. Was that true?
Yeah, so we opened up a shop, and the Domino's, they sent a van, a digital van, and parked right outside our at the shop opening. That they parked right outside to promote their own special deals. I thought that was a little bit dirty. So yeah, they did that, and then we just had to block their van, and we blocked their van with our van. So it was all It was all light-hearted fun and games. Then
I think it's interesting though, isn't it? Because often the sort of competitive nature of two brands makes for really interesting marketing campaigns, I think.
It does. Then we opened up in Milton Keynes, and Domino's head office is in Milton Keynes. So we laser projected the Boss Pizza sign onto the Domino's head office in Milton Keynes, and we let that run for quite some time. And we made a TikTok, and the TikTok got like hundreds of thousands of views as well. So you're right. I think it's important to be competitive, but I also think it's important to be competitive in a nice, friendly manner rather than being nasty and rather than being competitive in a nasty manner.
I think that's absolutely true. You can do it with a bit of a joke. The reality is everyone there, if they're good, if their brand's good, if their product's good, if their service is good, there will be there. There's enough room for different offers, right? And why not have a bit of fun? I always remember, I think it was a Coke advert or something like that. And they zoomed in on they zoomed in on like a Pepsi thing. It was the other way around. Anyway, they used two of the competitors' cans for this little boy to climb up and get their drink from a vending machine. I thought it was brilliant. But these things often drive these campaigns, don't they? And
exactly.
Make very entertaining stuff. Let's have a look. We've got a few comments coming up here. Let's go to, we've got one from Johnny, a couple from Simon, and one from Jay. So let's have a look at one from Jay. Let's see what he's got to say. Jay's put typical operator question alert. What channel and format leads to the best conversation rate for your brand? What do you make of this one? I guess this is engagement onto some of these posts. I mean, you get views, and then you're getting people kind of engaging with that.
Yeah, I think for us, it's probably TikTok. We generate a lot of views, likes, and comments on TikTok. It's probably one of the best. It's probably one of the best platforms for us in terms of conversation rate, and that's one thing that we do. And another tip I'll give you: when you're creating content, it's always good just to leave one or two points a little bit open-ended. That then triggers a comment section, and then when people start arguing in the comment section, the algorithm thinks that this is a really good video, it's getting lots of engagement. They then push it out even further.
That's really interesting, actually. Leave something out, and look, that's a great marketing principle anyway, isn't it? To leave you want to leave somebody wanting a bit more.
Yeah.
Do you remember the phone brand Orange? It disappeared. I think it merged with EE in the end. Right. I remember when that phone brand first came out, they had a billboard that was just orange. There was nothing written on it at all. It was just orange. Yeah. And you thought, why is that billboard painted orange? And that's a bit of an extreme example, but it created an intrigue, and I think that's what you're playing on here. So. In
fact, that's a really good point. Boss Pizza did a billboard about 3 years ago. It was a 40-foot billboard. It was all red, and in tiny writing in the middle, it said www.boss-pizza.co.uk. Right. That was it. And I put out a post saying, is this a good video? Is this a good billboard design or not? People went crazy. You have no idea when it comes to marketing. This is genius. You are clueless. Someone else saying, no, that's actually a good design. And then someone messaged me on Friday night. The billboard was out on Monday. Someone messaged me on Friday night saying, that billboard design is so ineffective. You don't actually know what you're doing. And my response was, it's 11:30 at night on Friday, and here you are discussing a billboard design with me. Clearly, the marketing has worked.
Exactly.
And he went, right, okay. So that's it. So sometimes it's good just to do something a little bit unusual to spark the conversation.
I love it. I love it. Let's have a look. Great comment as well, Jay. Thanks for, and clearly your signal is holding up. So it's fantastic to have you with us. Let's have a look. We've got a couple from Simon, one from Kelly, one from Johnny. Let's go to another one from Simon. Simon's put, do you use franchise portals too? This is an interesting one because so far we've been talking about marketing campaigns in terms of how you market the brand almost for the franchisees and how you market the brand in general. But in terms of attracting new franchisees, do you, I mean, you've said there that by doing what you're doing on social media, that is attracting franchisees because they're going, okay, I'm resonating with what this guy's saying, with what he's saying about his brand. Do you use these traditional portals as well?
We only use social media. As I said, we put out so much goodwill in the world, and then that comes back to us. So anyone looking for a franchise, they say, we want to go with Boss Pizza. And I'll tell you now, some weeks, not months, some weeks we can generate up to 200 franchise inquiries. Wow. Just to let you know, the industry average is about a handful a month, 4 or 5 inquiries a month. We sometimes get 200 franchise inquiries per week.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And look, I imagine that the problem, and look, how can I say problem when you get 200 franchise inquiries? But the challenge, let's say, is how do you whittle those down to the right people? You know, because that's a lot of conversations to have. And let's face it, a lot of wasted time because it's very unlikely that those 200 people are right for your business.
Yeah, true. What it does do, the conversion rate's about 2%. So the more franchise inquiries that come in, the higher the overall conversion because it's a numbers game. And we're very good at whittling down people now. The default answer, if you want a Boss Pizza, the default answer is no. If they then come back and try and battle and prove themselves, that's a good sign. But in the early days, the default answer was yes. Now we're in a much stronger position. The default answer is no, sorry, you can't have a franchise unless you can prove you've got the money, you've got the experience, you've got the team in place, you've got access to funds, you've got access to growth. So now, because we're in a much stronger position, we can be much more picky and choosy with who we let on to our journey. Because anyone in the franchise space, your number one objective should be to protect the reputation of your brand.
And I think you're right. This is a journey that every franchisor goes on, right? At the beginning, they haven't got any traction. They haven't got any inquiries. They want somebody, they you know, that's giving them money to then, you know, grow their business. But then when you're at this position, you can be choosy. And also we're talking about marketing today. And if you tell someone they can't have something, that's marketing in itself in a way, because that creates that, well, hang on a minute, why can't I have that? I want that now, right? And then, of course, in that clever marketing, they're then trying to prove that they can have it, that they're right for the business, that they're aligning with you. And then you can ask those bold questions, of which are hard to ask sometimes when someone says, yeah, I've got the money for this franchise, and go, okay, well, look, prove that to me. Right? That's like you say, it's a hard question to ask someone.
Very hard.
Because it can be perceived as you not trusting them. But look, you've got to be able to have the money, and you've got to be able to prove it, because anyone could just phone up and say, yeah, I've got £1 million sitting in my bank account. And then you waste your time, don't you? So it's really important.
That actually happened to us. We had a franchisee in the early days. He said he's got a turnover of £15 million in his business. We believed him. He turned out he had a series of failed businesses. He took on the franchise for Boss Pizza. He managed to screw it up, and that failed within 6 months. We took him to court, and in court, he presented evidence that he's actually not got any money at all. So we were misled from the very start. So you're right. You can't believe people. You've got to ask those difficult questions. How much money have you got in the bank? Okay, now prove it to us. Difficult conversation, but these are conversations you've got to have.
You do have to have those conversations. And look, you know, we always talk about on this show about transparency, right?
Yep.
In franchising. And whatever franchise business you're going in, you've got to be open and honest, right? And asking tough questions is part of that transparency, right?
Yeah.
If you can ask a franchisee a tough question, have you actually got that money? A franchisee then is perfectly entitled to say to you, is your franchise actually making any money? Can you show me a franchisee that's in profit? Can you show me a P&L? You know, am I going to make money? Am I going to get a return on the investment? And yes, they're difficult conversations, but they're really important things to say. If you just go along wishy-washy, you know, not finding out the right stuff, not saying the right stuff, that's where the problems in franchising sometimes can come from.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Right, let's have a look. We've got some comments, a couple of good comments coming in from Kelly and one from Johnny, and we're going to get to those in a moment. If you have just joined us today, this is the Franchise Show, and today we are talking about franchise marketing success stories with the lovely Ajmal from Boss Pizza. It's been a fantastic conversation so far. If you are here, join the conversation, get involved, put in a comment, say hello. And you will be the director and the producer of this show. Let's have a look. Let's welcome the lovely Johnny Joseph from where is he? Los Angeles, of course. Johnny's put greetings from a May Gray. I'd learned that is a term that the lovely Los Angeles folk refer to when it's a little bit grey there in Los Angeles. Turn June gloom, Los Angeles side of the first World Cup game in the USA soon, of course. Yes, football's going stateside very soon. Exciting stuff. Great to have you with us. Johnny is, and I always get this wrong, you're going to tell me, Johnny, whether I've got this right, but a franchise royalty auditor? Franchise auditor? Anyway, you're going to come back with a comment to say what it is. But always great to have you with us, Johnny. Okay, so let's have a look at a comment or two here from Kelly. Kelly has gone back to our conversation that we had earlier, and she's put the overuse of keywords feels more salesy or like a pitch slap in today's world. People buy the why. In addition, algorithms reward engagement, authenticity, and expertise far more than keyword density. Yeah, look, I like that. And I like people buy the why as well. What do you make of this comment? What can you pick out that resonates with you, Ajmal?
There is one word in this comment that is screaming at me. That's resulted in me having so much success on social media, where we've managed to generate nearly 500 million views, and that is authenticity. All of my content, I never sugarcoat it. I say to people, business is hard. Don't bloody do it. You're going to fail. All of my content is about the difficulties, the challenges of business, and a small fraction, maybe 10% of my, and a small percentage of my content is maybe the upside of business. And I think that authenticity is what has resulted in my content really resonating with my audience. So authenticity, keep it authentic, and people will really resonate with you. Great comment.
Yeah, it is a great comment. Thanks, Kelly. And I think you're right. And look, I think there's also an overuse of the word authenticity as well on many platforms. But what does that really mean? It just means being yourself, being who you are, right? And whoever you are, right? Just be that person when you're, I mean, I'm the same person doing this as if you met me. I'm the same person not wearing a hat. Not that that happens that often. But look, love that. Great comment. So let's go for another one from Kelly as well. Kelly's put thoughts on each platform, speaking a different language and how to approach, retain the message, adjust the delivery. This is an interesting one. I mean, we're going to talk in a minute a little bit about what's going to happen in the future, both with your business and with perhaps the future of marketing. But let's talk a little bit about language, because it doesn't necessarily mean that when you're taking Boss Pizza to a new country, it can be the way the language is put across, the demographic that you're trying to reach. So how important do you think language, and do you think different languages are important when you're putting out a marketing message?
Yeah, I think what I'm reading here is thoughts on each platform speaking a different language. So yes, you have to speak, you have to adapt your message. So in LinkedIn, it has to be a bit more verbal. It has to be a little bit of a deeper description. Whereas on Facebook, you can just I can just put a motivational quote or a business quote, and that resonates quite well. The engagement is good. So for LinkedIn, yes, you've got to put in a bit more blurb, a bit more written words, just to expand on what you're saying, just to expand, just to engage with the audience. Not so much in Facebook. And then TikTok, for example, the shorter the better. Simple language on TikTok works, and also on Facebook and Instagram Reels. Don't use fancy words. Don't use long, complicated words. Don't try to be clever on short form content. Keep it as simple as possible, and that language really resonates with the audience.
Do you think that you can take long form content and turn it into short form content? Or do you think you should think about it being long form or short form? I mean, you take this as an example. This is obviously long form and it's very conversational.
Yeah.
But do you think you can take snippets of things like this and turn that into short form? Or do you think you really need to think this is short form, I'll do it a different way?
Yeah, you should. If you are recording long form content, you should answer the questions in such a way that they can be clipped into shorter videos. And then what that allows is you've got one long form content, and then you could get 10, 20 different videos out of that. Harvey and audience, do you see what I did there? Whatever your question was, I repeated that question at the start and then answered my question. So if I cut this up into short form content, I can cut that section out and it makes perfect sense.
That's really interesting, actually.
That's how you do it.
Absolutely. Good tips, writing these things down. Thanks so much, Ajmal. Brilliant. Let's quickly move to Johnny here. What's Johnny? You got it right first time. There we go. Franchisee royalty auditor, protector of the lifeblood of franchisors. That's very good. It sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, we've got a couple of 3 minutes until we get to the last part of today's show. So I want to move on now to a couple of things. Future of Boss Pizza and you, and what's happening, and the future of marketing within the brand. You know, where do you see those two things heading?
So the future of Boss Pizza is very simple. We're on a growth trajectory that's quite aggressive, and we want to stay on that. So for example, in the next 3 months, we've got another 4 shops opening. I've got another 50 in the pipeline behind that. They're all in the shop search stage. That's the longest, most painful part of the whole journey, because finding a shop can take you 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year. That's out of our control. So anything that's out of our control, we don't stress about it. So the pipeline is looking good. The brand is in good health. The key thing is the team is energized, pumped up, and me at the helm. I'm humbled to be at the helm of Boss Pizza, and I've got all the energy in the world. I'm up at 7:30. I'm up early and in the office at 7:30 at my desk, working early. I just love what I do. So I think Boss Pizza has got a very interesting future, and we're all very excited to see what happens.
Very good. Have you got plans to take Boss Pizza global? Or is it now the UK?
That will happen. I think one step at a time. Let's get up to 20, 30, 40, 50 stores in the UK. And naturally, if you're doing a good job, the opportunities will present themselves to you. So instead of us chasing franchisors in different countries or franchisees in different countries, I say this to my team: let's just stay here and do a really good job, and we'll attract inward investment. We'll attract the right franchisees. That's our plan.
Amazing, amazing. And are you heading south? I mean, I said to you when we spoke earlier that I am heading up to Edinburgh, so I'm definitely going to come and say hello. But
yeah, nice.
Are you coming downwards in your store openings? Are you heading towards London?
Yes, so we opened up in Milton Keynes and Hemel Hempstead last month. We've got Mansfield, Nottingham, Burton-upon-Trent opening in the next 2 months. They're all in build. Then we've got St Helens, Liverpool. We've got Edinburgh opening. So we're scattering ourselves all over the country.
Excellent. Amazing stuff. Fantastic. Well, we have come now to the last part of today's show. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who has been here live today. You really are what makes this different, what makes this special. And the conversation always goes the way you want it to go. And it's been a great one. I'd like to thank the fantastic Ajmal from Boss Pizza. You've been a delight, and it's been great to have your thoughts on marketing. So now this is the part of the show where my camera will go off, and that's not because I've broken things. It's because you're not allowed to see me without wearing some sort of hat. And look at this beauty. Now, this hat was, of course, brought to you by PJ Murphy and Sons. It's my good friend Paul Murphy who made me this hat, so I like to promote him. And this is the part of the show where we're going to stop talking about marketing and franchising for a little bit. And two things are going to happen. One, we're going to find out a little bit more about Ajmal. And the other thing is he's going to get his chance to get his own back on me. He's answered all these questions absolutely beautifully today, so he gets to ask me anything he likes. But before he does that, let me ask you something, and you can choose any of these things. Have you ever met anyone famous? Have you got a claim to fame? Or tell us something we don't know about you, something you don't put all over TikTok, little exclusive.
Have I met anyone famous? I've met the usual, the Tom Kerridge, the Gordon Ramsays, and in the chef area, Mary Berry, Paul Hollywood. Yeah, I've met a few famous people in my time on the circuit, around the BBC Good Food Show, etc. And then something you don't know about me, it's not good to boast, but I am an expert at eating cake. I love cake, and I'm probably one of the world's best eaters of cake.
Very good. I see that perhaps as your next franchise business. It's going to be a cake business for Ajmal next, maybe, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Watch out, Cake Box. Ajmal is on the way.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, look, fantastic. And look, I promised you could get your own back on me. And I stick by this promise. You can let me get away with it. But now is the time. You can ask me anything you like. And I don't know what it's going to be.
Okay, I'll ask you two questions. The first one is, how little hair do you have on your head?
No, I did say
I think you would give me a good run for my money.
Well, look, why don't we see? I'm only joking. I can't take it off. I have got some hair out on my head, but it is dangerously thinning on the top. If I go out in the sunshine, I have to put sun cream on the top of my head. There is hair there, but I said to my wife's sister cuts my hair, and I've instructed her that if my hair gets to a point where it's got ridiculously bald, she's just to buzz cut the whole thing without telling me. So I'll know when I haven't got, when it's got too far when she does that.
Here's a tip for any guy, including yourself, who is going a little bit bald and you're doing your best to cover your hair and put the hairspray on and cover it up. The best thing you can do is just shave it off. You will feel liberated, because the pressure of trying to cover up your baldness or your bald patches, that stress just gets released. So anyone balding, take a razor to your head, shave it off. You shall be liberated, and you'll feel great.
Amazing. But I mean, you've got a nice shape head. I mean, I think I've got a bump on the right hand side that's gradually revealing itself, slowly over time. Well, there you go. Good question. You said you had two. You're going to get two for the price of one.
Well, there's another two questions. How long have you been in the franchising space, Harvey?
Not very long. And look, one of the reasons that I do this, and I did this, and I continue to do this, is because I wanted to learn. I've been in hospitality for 35 years. I know I don't look that old.
Yeah.
But in terms of franchising, 2022.
Okay, fair enough. So the second question is, I'm humble enough and down to earth enough to admit that we're fairly new in the franchising space. What tips can you give me or the Boss Pizza brand to grow in the franchising space? What would be your sort of top 2-3 tips?
I think the number one tip is to get the numbers right. Okay, for any QSR brand and any franchise brand, it has to make money, right? Someone told me something and I thought it was really relevant. The secret to a successful franchise business is happy, successful franchisees.
Yeah.
Right? The successful is your franchise has to make money for them. If it doesn't make money and the P&L doesn't make any sense, then it just doesn't work. And that's when they get unhappy. That's when they try and buy things that are out of the model. That's when they don't reflect the brand very well. And look, the happy part of it, that's a little harder to quantify. But I would say it's transparency, of which I know that's really important to you. You know, you want to talk to your franchisees and listen to them. Someone told me again, we're born with 2 of these and 1 of these, and to use them in that order. And I think that's a relevant thing when you're talking with franchisees. So I think that would be my advice. But look, I think you're doing a good job. So I take your advice. Brilliant. Well, look, we have come to the end of today's episode. First of all, again, I would like to thank everyone who has been with us here on the show today. You are really what makes this special. And thanks so much for taking your time and being with us on the show today. And I'd like to thank the lovely Ajmal from Boss Pizza for spending some time with us and talking about marketing. Hopefully, Ajmal, you can be on the show again because you're an absolute legend.
Would love to, anytime.
Fantastic. So lastly, it just leaves me to say what is going on next week. And I think you wrote it down somewhere. There you go. So next week, we are going to be speaking with David Hodges. We're yet to decide what the topic's going to be, but I'll let you know. That's going to be next Tuesday, the 9th of June, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. Now, one final thing before we go. On Monday, next Monday, that is the 8th of June, we are having a debate live on the Franchise Show. It's a one-off episode, and it's a debate about franchise regulation. And we've got one chap that's coming on that is absolutely for regulation in the UK. And we've got somebody else who's coming on that's absolutely not for regulation in the UK. And we're going to have this debate, and we're going to see what the positives and the negatives are, how we protect our industry, and if regulation is the answer, and if that's just a piece of the jigsaw puzzle, or if it's just unnecessary red tape. So join us Monday. I will put out all the details. It's going to be 8:30 in the evening, so it's going to be a later one on that, and I really look forward to getting all of your thoughts on that. So until next time, my friends, take very good care, and see you next time.
Thank you.